Hello, Nate here with the Volunteer Tech Vlog on the Live Sound 101 YouTube channel. And let's drive. Per usual, I'm recording my thoughts about Live Sound, being a volunteer tech, trying to encourage other volunteers out there, and to create videos that could possibly be some good training to at least get the conversation going. So that's kind of like one of the things I like to do, is just put a constant stream of conversation out there, content out there, talking about these challenges that we face as live sound people, as in the church tech world, and as volunteers, and especially being up in New England. It's just a different world up here than I think a lot of the church tech world in the country. I mean, that's the one thing, if you're not from the United States, it's a big chunk of land the United States is, and there are a lot of different regions, and I haven't even traveled a lot of the United States, to be honest with you, but I've traveled enough to know that there are just different regions and different almost like different cultures within cultures around the United States. But anyway, I want to talk about EQ in this video. Equalization, abbreviated as the letter E and the letter Q. So I've been kind of perusing through my audio lessons, and the last one I did was on filters and why they are a beautiful thing, and kind of the history of why I think I am in the habit of reaching for filters first before I do any EQing or compression or anything like that. So I always tend to go for the filters to cut out big chunks of the sonic spectrum, the audio frequency spectrum that aren't needed, so like on a vocal, you don't really need a lot in a vocal below 100 hertz, right? And then there's a higher end too where you just don't need, so you can kind of lop off the very low end and the very high end on certain instruments. And how do you know where to lop them off? I mean, that's basically, you learn that from experience, and you learn that from listening, from soloing that channel and listening for where the source, the instrument, sounds musical. You want to find, if I can put this into words here, you want to find the frequency range where that instrument sings, right? There's going to be parts of the frequency spectrum that sound musical. There's going to be parts of the frequency spectrum that you probably don't want to accentuate, that probably don't sound all that great. So that's the way I like to think about it, is finding the little bits that really sing, and finding the bits that don't sing, so you know what to cut and what to boost. And what my general rule of thumb with EQ is, you want to use sparingly. So many times less is more, right? You've got to look at the whole sound. You've got to look at that specific channel, but then you've got to look at the whole ensemble, and you got to look at the whole spectrum and all the instrumentation and kind of how it all fits together. And you got to really find the parts, if you're going to reach for that EQ, to understand what you want to boost and what you want to cut. You really got to understand how that specific channel, because that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about boosting EQ on a specific channel, right? Let's say you've got a 5-piece rock group, and let's say you've got guitar, for example. You want to look at the guitar by itself, and then you also want to look at the guitar in the context of the group. So I think those are the two things you really want to listen for before you reach for the EQ knob. Is, okay, let's solo the guitar, let's hear what he's trying to do there, and let's open up the solo, let's turn the solo off, and listen to the guitar in the context of the group. And then I would solo the guitar again, try to find where the guitar really sings, or what part you want to really you want to really come through, because you don't want the guitar competing with, I don't know, a vocal, or you don't want the electric guitar competing with the acoustic guitar. That's probably one of the more challenging things, is when you've got like 2 or 3 guitars up on stage, trying to figure out, okay, how do I not just get just like a wall of guitar sound, unless that's what you're going for, which I think would be rare. I think you really, most cases, you'd want to hear each guitar individually and hear what part they're playing, and make sure they're not stepping on each other, and they're not blending together. You kind of want them to each kind of do their own thing, unless you're doing like a campfire style, everybody play the same 3 chords type of a deal, which probably not the best artistic choice, because you probably want somebody doing something in the higher register, somebody playing chords, and yeah, then what's the third guy gonna do? I don't know. It's up to the creatives of the group to figure that out. But anyway, that's what I would say for EQ, and I would say use sparingly, do very little, but that would be the next logical step after you've set up your mix, the rough mix. You've got levels kind of in a ballpark range, you've put your faders up, you've got some sort of mix happening, a rough mix. You've gone through your filters, you've eliminated some, you've done some preemptive, premeditated, you made some decisions to apply filters to avoid maybe feedback coming from a vocal mic. You hit that with some filters. You maybe hit the kick drum mic with some filters, so you're not getting any leakage of higher frequency stuff coming in there. Again, you got the low cut filters on a lot of the vocals to make sure you're not getting any low frequency stuff bleeding into there, and that's going to clean up things a lot, just those filters. And then if you absolutely need it, if you feel like the microphone isn't really capturing, maybe the microphone or the DI is not really capturing the place in the frequency spectrum where that particular source sings, I think then you would reach for the EQ. You try to find the place where that particular source really sounds the most musical, and you want to accentuate that just enough so that it sounds like a natural instrument. That would be my overall advice. And then likewise, if you've got your microphone up there and you've got your DI plugged in, and there's some part of that instrument that does not sound musical, there's some sort of like weird boxiness or chuffing, something funky like that, where there's something that's not, let's say chuffing is kind of like a term used when like a speaker baffle is, there's something kind of like obstructing a speaker, and you kind of get this like weird boom, boom, boom kind of a thing. Maybe chuffing wasn't the best word, but something that doesn't sound musical. It just kind of, there's like something about the sound quality that's not sounding quite right. You'd probably want to find where that is in the spectrum. Maybe it's at 250 hertz, 400 hertz, something funny's going on, and you might want to cut there. So I guess that's my general advice for EQ, but that would be the next thing after setting up the rough mix, after reaching for the filters. Then I would personally do EQ, and then next we can talk about compression, but that will be another video. Oh, compression. I don't know if I can do compression video driving in the car. I mean, that's really something you want to, yeah, you really want to hear. I mean, all this stuff you really want to hear. I'm just talking theory. You really want to hear this stuff, and you want to get in a room when there's nobody around. You want to get some tracks playing back. And if you're just starting out, like this is Live Sound 101, you got to start somewhere. Get in a room by yourself, get some tracks playing back, and do some overcorrecting, you know? Turn that knob all the way and see what it sounds like, and then creep it back. And then turn it all the way this way, and then creep it back. You know, go through the EQ. Do that with everything in the EQ until you understand what you're actually doing. And then the same with compression. Compression's a tricky beast for a lot of people. Dynamics. You're changing the dynamics. But anyway, we'll get into compression in a future video, maybe possibly the next video. No, the next video is going to be a media report, but maybe after that we'll do compression. So I just arrived at the church. I'm going to head on in, and I will take some notes, and I'll give a report about successes, failures, how things are going with Software Audio Console. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.